Synergetic Journal, Recollections, April 5th, 2026. Omniscient Universe Internet Church from December 19, 2005, 27 years ago, approximately. Humans anticipate universe mind. Christina Herlufsson's Synergetics Research Project. Imagine universe mind anticipating our human mind, intentionally unifying everything. It is an intellectually reassuring and comforting thought. Recall, too, that thoughts are systems that belong to universe, to omniscient mind's universe mind. Yet thinking, which comes after experience, because experience comes before thinking, must be an individual economic initiative that involves intellect with the evolutionary process, anticipating universe and apprehending inexact reality. Then the human mind and omniscient mind are interrelating and anticipatory. We anticipate the subsequent steps, all that we yet realize, the structural integrity that is always potential unity, as we learn more about unifying everything. All of it relates to what we think about and what comprises our thoughts, and what we learn about our mind functioning to apprehend the inexact reality. Synergetics 542.02. To imagine thoughts which belong to universe of the structural integrity within a platitudinous complex requires at least our imagination. Mostly, thoughts require a minimum systems geometry that, in a combination with other polyhedral conceptualities, can fill all space. Primarily because this is what we humans do with anything, anyway. Whether it is items that are utilitarian and functional in our room at home, our houses, the cars and other vehicles on the road and in the air. They take space, volumes of it, three-dimensional perspectives and four-dimensional systems to second, third, fourth, fifth power relationships. Synergetics figure 966.05. We cannot make a model of space, and apparently universe mind does not require this, however. And because dimensional and exponential power relationships are conceptual, modelable, they define space, the space that is not the sphere. The sphere is a conceptuality. Space alone is not conceptual. It needs conceptuality to define it. Starting with at least this much awareness, humans can consciously fill space. This is true whether it is an empty lot on the block of houses, acres of land to hold a tract of houses. It might be that the tallest building requires a relatively small building lot, vertically to take more airspace than a one-story building. These space-filling examples are visible to our hometown and large cities in our world. Indirectly, they show us what we think will work to survive the heat and cold, the wetness and dryness, and also to fulfill scarcity and plenty motivations, as well as loving and hating, longing and fear, joy and sorrow motivations. However, we cannot see thoughts, so intellect has to depend on the geometry of thinking for its thoughtful constructions and conscious considerations, especially as we keep in mind that since thoughts belong to universe, the geometry of thinking is an individual economic initiative, and that omniscient mind must anticipate that humans will fill space eventually to recognize all space-filling integrities. Of course, there is always more to our conceptual responsibilities because we are evolutionary beings of a universe mind. We have a mind for thinking thoughts and a brain to process gathered, stored, and retrieved information. We are importing, retaining, exporting, functional, cerebrally equipped to carry out these tasks, the tasks of comprehending energy and what we learn, which ultimately is about unifying everything. Omniscient mind's systemic integrity is structural to the nth degree. When we use the nth, it is a fraction of 1 degree to the micron size of a conceptuality in time-space, spheres to spaces. We can understand both the positive and negative universe. Both positive and negative universe are of universe mind, omniscient mind. It is only in the human mind, as we apprehend information and give thought to the geometry of our thinking, which is most consciously comprehensive, when we do not leave our universe and its exquisite geometries. Oddly, though, the architecture in much of our world hardly relates to the all-space-filling polyhedrons. We see little evidence of the most beautiful and symmetrical universe. This might be because housing fills an essential need that is politically motivated rather than in respect to nature's coordinate system. Symmetrical set of minimum interrelationship, even at that. There is always more to consider when we think about how variously ambitious emulations direct the subjectively motivated building, be this a dwelling machine, the homes we live in, the work we must do to afford these edifices, which may have no comprehensive relationship to unity in principle. That's how far afield humans can go, and without the slightest idea what it otherwise might be, if we imagined ourselves students of Omniscient Mind's comprehensive school. Take, for instance, the tetrahedron, the rhombic dodecahedron, the tetrahedron and octahedron. Now imagine Omniscient Mind's school somewhere in the universe, with the youngest children scribing these models with eagerness to build their realities with such integrity. They are like our children in that comprehensive place, but they differ drastically in an anticipatory design science sense of education. Our earthling children learn about things and values which are lessons for self-serving political aims. Our earthly children learn about religion for the sake of worshiping gods that are not aware of the platitudinous complex, unifying everything, that thoughts do not belong to the political systems, the major religions, but to universe. Imagination is essential for understanding what we are doing now and what Omniscient Mind anticipates. If we were not anticipatory, we could not imagine what universe mind anticipates. So we can feel happy to be anticipatory design science oriented besides what any of us think we have to process to fit in, to please the taskmasters of our world. Is the taskmaster of our world in touch with Omniscient Mind? Do they anticipate an economy of mind that is primarily concerned with the beauty, truth, and symmetry as shown in the tetrahedral analysis of Plato's Triad, a unique set minimum interrelationship? Synergetics Figure 542.02. Self is essential to this four-dimensional perspective, which does not require time to be the fourth dimension. Instead, it is that time is in our dimensioning. Self is essential to the constructions of a thought, as is the thought, which is a relationship and a direction. The product zero is intrinsic to the conceptual self retransforming and self remodifying, as intellect anticipates being in a learning, living environment of universe mind. As we end the AD calendar at 1 nanosecond, 1 billionth of a second past midnight, December 31st, 2005, we can disembarrass our mind of the burdens that heretofore have precluded universe mind, and instead taught us to believe without using the geometry of our thinking potential. By not knowing about the geometry of thinking, that Omniscient Mind's students of systems in its universe become familiar with the plenitudinous complex integrity, we have misdirected us to imagine everything else. To make matters worse, our political and religious leaders agree that this is permissible as they further exploit beliefs, that believing is seeing, that believing is the same as anticipating. Nothing could be further from the truth because as we can anticipate universe mind, because we have an imagination for doing so, and not because we supposedly believe it at all. If we see the tetrahedron, which is available as a paper cutout model, we have a hands-on experience of the form. The same holds true for holding the vector equilibrium jitterbug vector flexor model in our hands. The close packing connection between the hexagonal faces, square faces, and triangular faces is easier to imagine. If we see the form, let us always recall that form is physical in universe's physical environment, whereas the model in mathematical principle is metaphysical of universe's metaphysical environment. We humans are in universe to learn of this. Are we of omniscient minds, anticipatory design for constructions of an inane reality? Such a thought is thinking when we placate and cultivate values that dismiss universe mind while valuing every conceivable false credit and omit the function of the self's intellect as the observer. Thank you. Gratefully, faithfully, eternally, Christina Herlovson.